Hello, and welcome to another installment of Unveiling Africa, one beautiful face at a time. I promise to bring you the very best of Africa, but not just Africa. They say charity begins at home. So we're going to start off by celebrating or introducing a judgeship candidate for family court in the person of Lisa Ghartey, right here in Poughkeepsie. And who better to do it but our Unveiling Africa? So let's welcome our candidate for family court judge, Miss Lisa Ghartey. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I know it's a very busy time for you, and you're running crazy, but crazy is good because that means you're being appreciated and you're being sought after, and that you're gonna be able to fill this big shoes that you're about to enter.
I'm hoping.
Tell us a little bit about who Lisa Ghartey is.
Thank you. First and foremost, I thank you so much for the honor to be here today with you and your viewers. So who's Lisa Ghartey? I am a resident of Poughkeepsie. I currently am the Assistant Commissioner for Child Welfare in the Office of Children and Family Services. It's a statewide agency, a New York State agency, and we oversee child welfare across the state. Prior to coming to the Office of Children and Family Services, I was a Assistant Attorney General with the New York State Attorney General's Office, and I was there for about 12 years in the Litigation Bureau. Wow. So I've been doing federal litigation, state practice as well. So varied background.
Very.
Thank you.
and I know you schooled at Georgetown,
yes.
a very prestigious.
Yes, I went to Georgetown University School of Foreign Service for my undergrad. And then I came back to New York to Pace University to go to law school. And they're both, I did international studies in law school and foreign service in my undergrad. Definitely had different visions, but isn't it always?
I was going to ask
we never know the path that we're going to follow.
Exactly.
But what's really interesting is I was thinking about this the other day. I had interviewed when I was in law school for an internship, and this question stuck with me. He asked me, "Where do you see yourself in 10 years?" And I said, "Doing something with children." And it's just so odd that I'm here right now because for years that was not my work, and even during the interview, it was for a securities firm, and they were just kind of like, "Really? Do you know where you're interviewing?" But this is the path, and I guess this is always what the calling and always where I wanted to be, and I'm here today. So.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. And I had the opportunity to read a bit about you and your passion for the children and the families that really needed help. And what better person than you to represent them, in this position. So what was the first calling? How did you come to think about running for judge for family court?
Yes.
I mean, there are other judgeships you could run for.
Yes, that's a great question. It's been my work at Office of Children and Family Services that really has driven me to this. So as I said earlier, OCFS, as it's known, is the New York State agency that oversees all of child welfare for the state of New York. So our focus is working with children in foster care, looking at child care also, and juvenile justice. But the focus is really working with vulnerable populations, vulnerable children, and looking from the state perspective. You're seeing the needs across our state. I mean, from New York City to Buffalo, So when I heard that this position had opened up, the governor had created 25 new family court judge positions across the state, and Duchess was fortunate to get one of these positions. I said, why not me?
Yeah.
This is the community where I'm raising my children. This is my home. This is the work that means the most to me. Why not do the work that's touching on the lives right in my community?
Well, that's actually very perfect because who would be more passionate than a mother, a community person, one who lives in a community and actually embraces and touches the lives of these people that she's obviously going to serve.
Yes.
And I said to myself, that's interesting. But what's more interesting is your background. It's diverse.
Yes.
You bring to the table something that the other candidates may not have. Tell me a little bit about that.
So culturally, the diversity, as this is the perfect show to discuss it.
Right.
So my father's from Ghana, my mother's from Trinidad, her family's from Trinidad, hails from Trinidad. So we're first generation, my brothers and I are first generation on my father's side and second generation on my mother's side. And it's very interesting, and I'm sure for you and your children as well,
Yeah.
when you grow up in a home and your family is from another country, you embrace all of it. You have your culture, you have your food, your traditions that your parents bring to this country, and then you incorporate all of that within being here in America.
Right.
So you get a little bit of everything. And it gives you a different perspective on just life, on people, and respect for cultures, and for difference, because we know that difference is good. There's nothing bad about it,
not at all.
and it breeds a curiosity that I think is a good thing to be just a human being in this world. We are so global that you don't want to shy away from something that's not, what you've known all the time. It's just, what is that? Let me experience that as well. So I think that perspective has really given me the interest to just know about other people, other cultures, other lifestyles. And I think what's most important is that respect for that, because I've grown up in a home with people who come from different places.
And that's key. That's key to the position you're going to be filling. Because now, today, the world, like you just said, a global village. You have people from all over the world. And so they might happen to pass by your court one of these days. Now, how can someone who doesn't have any experience or doesn't have any knowledge of the other side deal with such people? So I think that uniqueness you bring to the table will take you a long way, and I know you're going to do good with that. I wish you every success. Now tell me exactly what would you do? Like, for instance, your first day in office. What are your plans? What are you looking forward to doing as a new family court judge?
Well, the key factor is for any member of the court is that you know the law, you know the matters that come before you. And for your viewers that may not know, the cases that come before family court are family matters. So it's child abuse and neglect, the children that come before child welfare, which is Office of Children and Family Services, child custody, child support matters, domestic violence, adoption, what we call persons in need of supervision for older teens generally, and juvenile justice matters. So it's a wide range of matters. The only matters that are not heard, which some people sometimes think are divorces, those are in what we call New York State Supreme Court.
Oh, so you don't handle
You don't handle divorces, yes. But these other matters are, they're so varied, but they're all connected. And I say this to a lot of people, even in the adoption cases, which you call the happy cases, because it's creating a new life.
Baby,
But there's there's a connection of loss. There's trauma because you're coming in and emerging without and under what the familial unit, what it used to be, is going to be something different. So the importance of the court, I feel, is that to know the law, but to recognize the trauma, the impact that trauma plays on all of the lives, but always looking at the child. What is happening? What is the impact on these decisions and these changes on the child? Because if you do it right, equitably, with justice and fairness, the families can emerge with the tools needed to face their new life. So that's the driving force. That's what keeps me going. Cultural competence is a big factor. Respect for the parties, for the attorneys, and your judicial temperament. Because within the courtroom, in family court, as opposed to other matters, there's no jury, it's the judge. So it's very important to know who is sitting and deciding these cases.
And what better person than
Lisa
Ghartey? Because I can feel the sensitivity, the compassion. These are things that you need, tools that you need that are not readily available in today's world. We will be right back because we have more questions.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Hi, I'm your host, Kristen Daka McCary, and you're watching Unveiling Africa. What publication described Africa as the most hopeless continent in the year 2000 and then turned around 11 years later in 2011 to describe Africa as one of the most hopeful continents in the world? The answer when we return. I've always wondered certain cases I hear about and I come across the children are at stake here, but everybody around the child, playing their own games and playing their own tunes, forgetting about the real deal.
This is the issue. Yeah. This is the issue. I mean, when I was campaigning, I'm meeting adults who are still talking about the child visitation fights between their parents. See. And these are grown people with their own children. So the impact, and that's this concept of understanding the trauma, because it is traumatic.
Yeah, it's very.
To change, for a child who doesn't understand the decisions that adults are making.
No one thinks about that?
Nobody thinks about that.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
What publication described Africa as the most hopeless continent in the year 2000, and then turned around 11 years later in 2011 to describe Africa as one of the most hopeful continents in the world? And the answer is The Economist. I'm sure a lot of you read that magazine. It covers a lot of African information and other information around the world. How interesting.
Okay. All right, we're back. We're back with the beautiful Lisa Ghartey, not just the beauty, but brains and sensitivity and compassion and love for what she does. Yes. I mean, you can feel the passion, but especially in this case of taking care of the children, primarily so. Where do you see the family court systems going in this new direction, and why do you think the governor decided to get some more judges? Something must have triggered this.
Well, the fact is that there are, the family court is an extremely busy court.
Okay.
Not only here in New York, but across the nation. The courts are, the dockets are really full. And the reason is that they're challenging and complex cases. They're family matters. Yeah. They're not cut and dry contract matters that you can look at the law and follow the black letter of the law and get to an answer. These are families who are in crisis, who are dealing with really troubling matters. If it's domestic violence, it's substance abuse, mental illness, real challenges. Yes. So it's not a matter that you can decide within a day or two, a hearing in a day or two, and the families move on. Oftentimes the families come back. So for that reason, you have this a huge volume. And what I've seen in the research and the work that I've done is that, and I see that here in New York as well, that within family court we're looking at what we've been calling across the nation well-being. What are those needs of the families? It's identifying the fact that no one system can do it alone. Many systems touch these families. But how are we making sure that we're bringing our best thought, intentionality, and work to help these families so that if they come before us, they're strengthened, they have what they need, and they can move on and then live their lives.
Successfully.
Successfully, exactly, is the key, as opposed to moving out and coming back in.
Again, yeah.
So it's understanding the data, understanding, as I said earlier, the trauma. That's a key factor, because recognizing that the science behind the matters before you is really important, and recognizing that the decision just signed on August 31st has a life beyond today. There's a child that's impacted. If it's a child, it's a juvenile justice matter. Decision to place a child in a facility has a life of its own as well, and long-lasting impact.
Yes.
A child removed to child welfare, terminating parental rights, and even placing a child in foster care or in adoption as well. There are long-lasting impacts of this. So it's taking a stop and recognizing this is a special court. It's a most unique and important court. That when we speak about strengthening communities, at our most granular level, it's our families. Yes. Any community is made up of its family. And if the families are not strong, whatever the family makeup is, but if the families are not strong and have the resources and the services that they need, your community cannot be strong. Your community cannot be strong.
And that's why I'm grateful for someone like you to take the time and to take the very difficult task, because I know it's not going to be easy.
It's not easy.
To do this, because we need people who are thoughtful, compassionate, people who really want to be there, not just doing it for the name
Yeah.
or for the title
Yes.
or for the money. You know,
Yes.
you're there because you actually want to see society grow.
Yes.
Especially up here in Poughkeepsie, we've had a rash of broken homes
Yes.
and gangs and less of children. You know, I'm amazed. I thought coming up here I would meet a nice family structure. You know, people living like real family units. But instead, it was the opposite. That I found more of a family structure in the city,
Yes.
where you would not expect that.
Yes.
And I began to say to myself, what's the reason for this? Would you have any answer to that? You know, what's the real reason? Because that might be why you're also doing this as well.
Because families have struggles. Families have struggles and they have needs. And if we don't identify the needs, if we don't hold ourselves and systems accountable, the systems that touch these families start demanding more of what we're doing, recognizing our impact on these families.
Right.
Then it's going to look the same in Poughkeepsie as it does in Brooklyn, as it does in Erie County as well. So you can't escape the needs, and at its core, and these challenges cross all demographics,
Yes.
all socioeconomic groups. You know, you can't put it into one box. Every family has its
And
struggle.
that has been the case.
That's exactly
You know,
the
because
case.
they all think everyone is a cookie cutter. You know, there's cookie cutter for everybody. You know, this one you can apply the same results for this one, and also the same conditions for treatment, lack of a better word. You know, but another thing again I wanted to find out from you. You mentioned other things, including substance abuse, which has been a big problem up here as well.
Yes.
How do you plan as a family court judge to I wouldn't say eradicate, because that's a hard task, but like ameliorate, make it easier for people to become more cognizant with positive things rather than the negative.
Well, one of the things that is already part of the New York State Family Court structure is what we call the Family Treatment Courts, and those are specialty courts. So they're not all across the state, but one of the things that the Family Court is trying to do right now is find those best practices. Okay. What makes those specialty courts work? Because they've seen a lot of success that the families that come to these specialty courts. So why just have these special little boutique courts? Let's make sure that we infuse those best practices throughout the system. Perfect. So, and that could range from seeing families more often, have a deeper understanding of the services that judges are referring the families to, and really communicating with the families on a different level. And I think for me, it's not, you can't, I may not be able to eradicate, the substance abuse, but definitely the families that come before me have an understanding of, I always harp on this. I know sometimes people look at me like, but it's really understanding that science. I think you have to come to this with two pieces, understanding the law and the science. What does drug treatment look like? How does it present itself? And being able to read the science properly and not thinking that people are being defiant or not working well, but it's taking the time to be a real fact finder and understand what's happening here and working with the family, because there is a need for the system, and sometimes parents just can't parent, but oftentimes parents are trying to struggle through their demons.
Yes.
And they need help to get through that, and they're seeking help they don't know where else to go, and they're here before you, and that's the work of trying to take those best practices. So that's what I would bring to this, understanding those best practices from the boutique courts and infusing it matters before me.
Very good. We're talking to Lisa Ghartey, running for Family Court Judge here in Poughkeepsie. We wish her extreme success. We wish her the very best, and we know she'll bring to the table nothing but the very best. Tell us a little bit about how you're doing campaign-wise. How can we help you go further?
Thank you so much. It's very funny. You enter this process with a lot of naivete, which is a good thing, because I think it's one of those things that if you know how the sausage is made, you probably would run
not supposed to do it.
the other way. But it's a challenge. It's hard work. Dutchess County is a big county. You don't realize how much you stay in your little neck of the woods, as it were. But it's been wonderful because it's forced me to get out, to meet new people, to step out of my comfort zone, you know, knocking on doors through the petition process, asking people, it was a challenge, asking people, first you knock on the door, then you ask them to sign your petition, and you talk about who you are and what you want to do. But what helps you is that as you talk to people and you connect, everyone has a story. Everyone has, even if it's not a direct connection to family court, as you tell them the matters that come before family court, they connect. And it's not them or their neighbor or someone in their child's class that they've heard about, or an educator who, even teachers who've said to me, you know, children will be removed and you don't know what happened, and you always wonder what happens to these children. So it's been wonderful to hear, and also make the connections for people where they thought initially, I don't know anything about that, and then realize how much it does impact their lives. And I keep stressing that this is an extremely important court for any society, and that we should all stop and take notice. We should take notice and be engaged. So the educating has been fun. That part I like, but it's been hard. I've even started to step out of, even further out of my comfort zone. I was at the Gap once, and I told somebody, hey, I'm running for family court. But then the other day I was at, where was I? I forget what store I was at. And now I'm like, hey, I'm running for family court judge. Can I give you this? Because you need voters, you need people to be engaged in the process. So
and for them to know who and what you're doing.
And what you're doing. So right now, November 3rd is all we're talking about. That's election day.
Wow.
We are on the Democratic line, the Working Families line, and the Green Party line as well. And we received endorsement from the Hudson Valley Area Labor Federation as well. So which is great. So we're moving, we're meeting new people, people are registering to vote. We're on Facebook.
I saw that.
Which, oh, you've seen it?
Yeah. And I saw a young little boy, a little boy saying, you know, I'll vote for you. I like what you're doing.
Isn't that great?
And that's great.
Yes,
you know, when the young ones are even part of the campaign,
yes,
you know, because that's the future.
That is the future, and that's why I'm doing this. That's my draw, that these are children. And that's it. Full stop. They're children.
And I want to congratulate your 12-year-old or 13-year-old
yes,
son.
he's now 14. He's 13 at the time. He's now 14.
And who did the video of Mommy declaring her campaign. I thought that was very powerful and very encouraging, you know, that the youths are beginning to see the importance of what Mommy and Daddy does.
Yes.
You know? And we can't forget the rock behind this powerful woman here, your husband, who puts out all his energy and all his time to make sure that you get the very best and bring, you know, you spread the word out there. So how else can the people help you? Are there any, is there anything they can do?
Yes, so they can go to our website, which is Lisa Ghartey, GHARTEY 2015.com, or email us at lisaghartey2015@gmail.com. If you're on Facebook, you can like and share our Facebook page, which is great. And then on the Facebook page, learn more about where we are and so forth. But the website has information about who I am, my vision, and so forth. So that's so either of those two. And then when you come to the website, if there are events in your neighborhood, that's how we learned about places to go. People tell us about things happening in their area, which is really helpful. We were out in Amenia at a pancake breakfast.
Wow. Yeah, I saw that.
Yes. This is a countywide race, so we are all over the county. So whatever people, any ideas and suggestions, we can go into churches. We would love to go to synagogues and any mosques as well. We want to, make sure that the county hears who we are, what our message is. So when on November 3rd, when they come and vote, they're making an informed decision.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. How has it been on the campaign trail? Has it been friendly, both, indifferent, welcoming?
I must say it's been friendly.
Okay.
People on the whole are decent. They're, which is good. And again, there is this level, you're intruding on their privacy. This is our system. This is how we elect officials. So it's very funny. I always thought of myself as a civic-minded person. I vote, I'm engaged, I sign petitions. But until you start to run, you don't realize the depth and the amount of work. Putting up lawn signs. My husband's been all over the county posting lawn signs.
You can put lawn signs on
thank you. And that's helpful, and it's great. And we've been getting supporters texting us. I don't see your lawn sign here. So that's another way to provide support and show support for what we're trying to do. It really is an effort to support the children in our community, the families in our community. That's the key. The most vulnerable.
So at the end of the day, when Lisa Ghartey is Family Court Judge, what legacy would you want to leave behind so that the world, people from far and wide, will know more about Lisa Ghartey and what she's done, not because of her, but because of her love for children and family? What legacy do you intend to leave behind?
I want to leave a legacy.
Or remembered by?
But yes, that the decisions were fair and equitable, that the parties that came before and left the court understood the nature of the proceeding. They understood why the decisions were made the way they were made, that families felt supported where they were in life, and given the tools to move forward. That the children, teens, young children, teens, whoever, that come before emerge stronger and feel that they're on solid ground. Because I firmly believe the matters, although the families come before this court in crisis, they don't have to leave in crisis. And I hope that's the legacy that I would leave, that people felt the fairness, the integrity, the honesty, and the respect for themselves within this courtroom.
Right. Well, you couldn't have put it any better. And I think with you in that seat, we will see a change, which is a big key. We will also see a revitalized Poughkeepsie and the surrounding areas, and also some sense from this nonsense, that goes on in family courts. We've had so many stories, sad stories, that, like you said, impact children. We're here for the children. We're here to promote society and make make strong communities. And we can't do that without a strong family structure and value system.
So I must say one thing, or else my husband will be very upset with me. So I hope that I can ask all of your viewers that on November 3rd, they will vote for me, Lisa Ghartey, for Family Court Judge.
Lisa Ghartey for Family Court. And don't forget, Ghartey.
Yes, thank you.
We always aim to bring the very best, like I said, not just of Africa, but of people. People make the world go round. People make us make the world a better place to live in. And what better people, but people who bring some sense and some structure, some family values back into the lack in society. So we wish that you would come out on November 3rd and vote for Lisa and make her the first ever African and African American family court judge here in Poughkeepsie, the Dutchess County area. Yes. All right. Thank you. And you can always see us on our different social media. And do you want to share your social media sites again for the viewers?
So if you go to LisaGhartey2015.com, you can link to all of our social media icons.
Great. We wish you all the very best.
So
and God bless you.
Amen.
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 And you will win. And you'll come back and talk about
I will,
your
gladly.
new office.
Thank you so much.
God bless. Okay, thank you.